So I saw a sister in faith talk about Christians having fun, and she was right. I don't think the message right now is that we should be having more fun because, to be frank with you, it's not producing holiness. But what are some things that Christians can do? That's a good question. Trading cards, perfectly legit. You want to play Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, baseball cards. There's no sin in that. Don't and parents, if your kids want to do those things, by all means, let them. Let them. There's no sin in that. Stop this trickery, wizard. There's no such thing as wizards. And if there is, that's not it. Let them watch good movies that are G or PG rated or PG-13. I think that's perfectly alright for any Christian, PG-13. R-rated movies, just make sure that it's not filled with sex or too much violence. We're adults. We can hear the occasional F word. Writing as a hobby or even as a profession, reading books. Just make sure it's not, even then, like Song of Songs is pretty sultry, but I would just say reading is a good thing to do. I think those romance books train your heart for love. I think, like those Amish romances, they train your heart for love, and so do a lot of other romance books. They make you feel good things, which is not a problem. You're not actually visualizing anything or seeing it or lusting after anyone real. You're feeling real emotions, which is why I'd advocate reading. Just don't put your head with filth. Like, especially don't buy books on theology or things like that are going to teach you to err on the side of caution, but read a book. Play sports, soccer, football, cross, badminton, frisbee, bowling, all fine and dandy. Board games, Monopoly, Life, Dungeons and Dragons, even if you like to play that. No sin in that. Play music, as long as it's good music. If you want to be in a heavy metal band, there's some great bands that do heavy metal. There's some great what's called metalcore. I like some of that music. Don't be too stingy. You can listen to any genre of music, even if it's mumble rap. Just make sure that the music is not vulgar. It's not tasteless. You want to listen to Drake, you want to listen to Beyonce, you want to listen to I don't think God really cares about your taste in music, just as long as you don't listen to very vulgar stuff. Like Eminem, his early stuff, maybe not. It gets a little too tasteless. Akon's okay. Have some discretion here. You don't want to be listening to like racist music. You don't want to be listening to like gangster rap. It's violent. People going around shooting each other. You probably don't want to be filling your head with that. I listen to classic rock, oldies, Eagles, Styx, Rolling Stones. I also listen to a lot of Christian music. What else you can do for fun? You can go on vacations and go on the beach and go swimming and go skydiving or surfing. I know a lot of really deep men of faith. They're really big into surfing and mountain climbing and just the whole smorgasbord of activities. You can do them, but like driving around and acting like a nut, probably not. Like speeding down the road and getting into car races, or gossiping, or acting like little school children and loitering at malls and vandalism. If it's an illegal activity or if it's foolish, probably not something you want to do. So a Christian's allowed to have fun, and my sister in faith is true. She's right, you can have fun, but I think there should be a sobriety where we don't necessarily make fun our religion, because a lot of important stuff in the religion is not fun. Listening to a sermon or reading a testimony of a martyr, even reading the Bible, it's not exactly fun, but you get other rewards out of it, such as love, such as peace. A Christian has many multiple dimensions of feelings. It's not just joy, because I think fun and joy are two different things. You can have joy and not be having fun. Like, I've seen people have joy singing old gospel hymns. There's a certain joy to life that I think Christians used to have, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've seen in my life was joyful Christians. And there was a certain sobriety to them that you knew the line and they would make sure you towed it. That's what I remember about Christianity, and it was happier. People had better lives, they had better feelings, they were more compassionate, they had better communities. It was just better all around. Because I think when you make life particularly completely about pleasure, and I think this is what my sister in faith is saying, if you make life completely about pleasure, some of the highest pleasures in life come from a lot of work. and a lot of effort. A lot of work and a lot of effort. Like for instance, your love relationships, like say you're married, you have to fight for that marriage. You can't just let Satan passively steamroll you, because the fact is you have to fight to be with those people, even your friends too. Like say you have best friends, you have to fight to be friends. You have to beat back the temptation to leave that person because you see like a shining glory somewhere else. Keep your friends, keep your spouse, keep those people who are important to you. Don't cut them off like foreskins and say this is unclean, because that's unpleasing to God. It's a smoke in his nostrils. When you say, I am holier than thou, that's a smoke in God's nostrils. So like the fact of the matter is we can be able to have fun, but we have to have sobriety. We have to have love, and we have to not cross the line into foolishness. There's a great amount of wisdom that we should have, and I think what my sister in Christ is saying is that we should not be foolish. What's more, if you want to play something like Mario or Donkey Kong or anything like that, or Mario Kart or any of these types of games, or you want to play chess, or you want to play Go, or you want to play something, I don't think this is a sin. I don't think either is having fun. And if you're married, I don't think having sex is a sin either. I think you're actually called to indulge in that pleasure with your spouse. Another thing is, I don't think that, having fun is a sin. What is a sin is acting foolish, being loud and obnoxious and breaking things and running around and slamming doors and like the stuff your grandparents used to tell you. Being obnoxious is a sin, but quietly sitting down to play a game or play a video game that's not violent, or to do something like maybe Civil War reenactment, or many things. There's many things you can do as a Christian. There's so many things. It's never a sin to be occupied. It's a sin, I think, to be too fixated on holiness that you forget to have fun. I think that's a sin. And I think that it's important that we have fun. Playing Old Maid, or playing backgammon, or playing pinochle, or cribbage, or any trick-taking game, or just as long as there's no gambling. Like I said, the sins. The sin. It is a sin. Don't make it into a sin, and don't make it into an idol. So that's just the fact I have to say about that. I don't think it's necessarily wise to be all business and no pleasure, just like I don't think it's necessarily wise to be all pleasure and no business. So that's my teaching on that, and I think she's right. Like the general fact is we should not be telling Christians today that they need more pleasure. Like when you go to church, it is not to be a circus, especially not at church. It's not supposed to be a circus. That, I think, is 100% correct. Youth group is a circus. You go play tag or something in the narthex, and you run around the church because it's off hours, and there's no problem with that. But during church, during congregation, during worship, there is supposed to be a hallowedness, a sanctity. And if you're not hallowed in the sanctuary, if you're not somber, if you're not reflective, I think that's not the place to be doing gross out games or whatever have you. Not to say that gross out games are not a sin. I don't necessarily think we should be licking each other's eyeballs or whatever they do at those youth group things. There's certain boundaries, playing certain boundaries. I know youth group is where a lot of people get saved too, and it should be fun. Youth group should be fun. But there should be boundary. There should be certain decorum, like playing flashlight tag in the church when it's all dark. I don't think necessarily constitutes a sin, because it's you're having a sleepover there, and that's one of the things that I experienced, and it was a good thing. There is a place for fun, but you don't need pleasure to be the whole religion, because the religion is very reflective and contemplative and serious. You don't want to turn something serious into something light. I think that's what she's saying too, and I don't think that's during worship's a good idea.